Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I wanted to jump on and talk to you about trips and booking trips and travel and my experiences and then some of my opinion on this topic. I'm going to touch on tours and the use of tour agencies for booking travel, transportation, planes, trains, and automobiles, currency, using your phone, your iPhone and eSIMs and Wi-Fi and hacks around that, and then day trips. So booking with a tour company. I have used different tour companies. My most recent trips, a month in Asia and 2 weeks in Portugal, portions of those trips were done through tours. And then I've booked entirely independent trips. When I took my mom to the UK and we did England, Scotland, and Ireland, that entire itinerary was done through my work and the help of a friend. And we booked hotels, excursions, trains in advance, all of our hotels and bed and breakfasts, etc. And that was great. And it was a lot of work. It was a lot of looking at day schedules and where we would want to be for how long and having all of that in place for the bookings. Now, in going on a tour, it gets rid of all that work and angst. It's all done for you. You literally research a tour company that is a fit, the itinerary that looks good, that you like and want to see, and you pay and it's booked. And there are different types of tours from independent to semi-organized to organized. My recent trip to Asia was 3 weeks, a tour with the Women's Travel Network. I'm a huge fan. It was a wonderful experience, and I will be hosting with the Women's Travel Network starting next September to Tuscany, Italy. Now, this was amazing. It was a very boutique type of travel. Small group of women, 16, and the itinerary was very well set, very well organized. It included a host as well as tour guides in each country, and everything was laid out from hotels to transports to the excursions to quite a full itinerary. There were times where we were independent to do our own thing, certain times during the day, but otherwise it was well planned out, and you were with the same group in each area and each day. More recently in Portugal, I was with another tour company, Wing Buddy, who I've traveled with before a couple years ago to Costa Rica. And this was also wonderful. It is unisex. There's men and women and couples. The group size is much larger. The itinerary is a little more flexible, whereby they book the odd excursion and then your transports and hotels, and then there's a lot of built-in free time. And there's honestly pros and cons to all ways of doing so. And so I wanted to just share with you my experience and opinion. I think tours are a great way to go, especially if you're going to a country where you're not certain of where to stay, the areas to see, the safety factor. You know, there's a number of factors where tours would work wonderful, or you're traveling alone, or you're not really comfortable going online and making the bookings yourself through hotels, etc. Then it's great. You pay up front, everything is set for you. You go on a no stress vacation and everything is laid out. I personally love tours for meeting new people and being, on a somewhat set itinerary that's stress-free. But I personally prefer to book my own travel, particularly in countries where I'm comfortable doing so. I feel safe, and, it's easy to do that. Some of the pros and cons: when you're on a tour, you're definitely on a tourist track. So even going through Asia, we saw a lot of the same people in the same cities, and the tour companies tend to keep people on the same track and see the same sites, which, hey, if you're going once, you want to see the highlights and the things that are really meant for tourists to see. And I totally understand that. And there's huge value in that. By not being on a tour, you can certainly drive your own agenda and take things as they come and be more flexible. Now, one thing, small tours over large, and not in all cases, but what I found is the comfort of a bigger bus when you're on long hauls between destinations is very nice. You have good windows and good views of everything, and they do treat you very well. In any tour I've been on, the tour guides are phenomenal, and I've had a great experience. There's not a lot of room for change if you're on a tour. The itineraries are set, the timelines are set, tickets are booked in advance. And so that does limit you somewhat. And, so there's pros and cons. I think if you've never been on a tour with an agency that's taken care of all the little details, it's something to definitely explore. The cost can be from very low to what seems high, but I do think that with a tour, you get what you pay for, and the experiences will demonstrate that. Go on, look at the itinerary, ensure that the hotels and the locations and what the attractions are what is suited to what you want to see and the requirements of what your trip are for that, and just go and explore and have a great time. Some of the pros and cons, that I'll highlight immediately. Obviously, if you're with a tour company, there's no work and no stress. You just book and go. You have guidance. You have people to lean on throughout the trip that can give you insight or to help you out if you're feeling, like not sure what's coming up next or where to be, or any questions you have. There's always somebody there that can respond to your needs. You see the highlights. Obviously, the tour companies in any country or destination are going to take you to the highlight areas and the things that are there to be seen. And that's always wonderful. And you do build a sense of community of the people that you're traveling with. And, you're with the same people over and over, and you make friends and sometimes lifelong friends, and you're in a group chat. And there's that sense of belonging and community with that. Now, some of the cons is you are on a set itinerary. So if you like to be flexible or spend more time in different areas, sometimes that is a little bit restricted, but that just goes with the flow of staying with the group and being on an itinerary. There's very little room for change. So the itinerary is set, and you can't really go outside the bounds of that too much because it is set for a lot of people and not just you. You are on the tourist track. It gets a little more difficult to go out into different areas unless you utilize your free independent time and take advantage of that, and that's certainly an option. And so your flexibility is a bit limited, and there is a cost associated with having all of that done for you, which often is well worth the cost. I did do, by the way, when I was in Portugal, I did a price analysis of exactly what WingBuddy had done for us and what it would have cost if I had gone and done the exact same flights, hotels, all the transports and the day trips that we went on. And it worked out to about $750 Canadian per person that we paid as a supplement to have WingBuddy organize that. So maybe that's worth it to you. That's a very personal decision. $750 per person, $1,500 a couple, and then everything is set. So now for transport and airlines. One thing with tour companies is they'll often want to book your flight. So they will give you different options and scenarios of which airline and what itinerary you like, what segments, layovers, etc. And you will have some leeway in that before booking. But then the flight is in the control of the third-party tour agency to manage. And I personally don't like that. I like to be in control of my own flight and bookings and ability to upgrade and have seat changes and those types of things, which there still is the option to do that if it's booked through the agency. Once you get your e-ticket, you can go on and book flights and make some adjustments. But what I've found in my recent experience is they booked me on the lowest possible fare. So there wasn't even the option to upgrade with the fare that was purchased. In doing some, exploration since then, I have discovered that a lot of tour companies will allow you to book the land portion only. So you will meet them at the destination, the start of the tour, and that's where your tour with them begins, and you can book your own flight to get there. Going forward, if I book on tours again, this will be the option I go, because as I say, I like to be in control of who I fly with, the itinerary, where I'm flying out of, the types of upgrades I'm available, that I have available to me, and that. So there's the airlines. I always go on initially as soon as booking or as soon as possible to ensure that I have good seats, whether it's upgrading to premium. Typically, I look at that over a 7-hour flight, but regardless, always good seats up front, extra legroom. I like to be comfortable, and I feel like the price to get the comfort is well worth it. Now, first class, not very often. That is an extreme upgrade in cost to have that. But premium, I definitely like premium. Now, trains, carry-on. Here's where my carry-on comes in with trains. I do have another video on what I like to pack, and I can put that link below. But trains, a great way to see the country, and through Europe especially, you can look out the window and see the countryside as you're going. It's a comfortable ride. There's facilities on board. There's snacks and drinks and Wi-Fi and bathrooms. One thing about trains, it's very low price to upgrade to first class. Now, the difference between first class and second and maybe even third on these trains is not significant, but for like $10 for a fare, you can upgrade to first class, a little more cushion in the seat. And I think that is the way to go. Now, that's another consideration in booking through tours. We were not booked on first class. We were booked second class throughout. Again, the ride was fine, but that is one thing that I would look for going forward, is to just, for such a low cost, to be booked up to a little bit of a more premium experience. And, having a big checked suitcase on trains is a pain. It's hard to get from the platform up to the train. There's stairs. It's cumbersome. The amount of space that's on a train to accommodate big bags is not ideal. And so another incentive to book carry-on if you're planning on a lot of trains through your trip. And getting around when you're in your destination, there's so many great options. Of course, Uber. I discovered Bolt, which is another type of Uber independent ride when we were in Portugal. And then there's the trolleys and the local buses and those types of things. Don't be afraid to explore them. They're usually very inexpensive. Always take great shoes, because one thing about most destinations I've been to is walking and exploring. And that is the most incredible way to actually get a sense of where you are and discover things that you wouldn't see otherwise. Is just go out and wander. It's a wonderful way to see what there is out there to see. Hotels. So again, when you're with a tour, these are booked for you. And I've never really had too bad of an experience. They've always been decent hotels. One thing about considering when you're booking a hotel, if you do that on your own, is location. So, it doesn't necessarily need to be right beside the airport if you're flying in or out late, but definitely where it's walkable to get to the main things you'd like to see, or to transport that's convenient within the area that you're in. Also, have it include breakfast. I think this is such a great option when you're traveling and on the road for a long time, is to have your hotel include breakfast. You get up, there's usually a 3 or 4 hour window where you have a wonderful spread of a lot of different varieties, and then start your day without having to get up and then go find a restaurant or pay a lot more to have that first meal of the day. And then otherwise, I just look for really basic accommodations, a good rating, maybe 3-star plus. Clean is my main thing. Easily accessible in a great location, but it doesn't not need to be a 5-star hotel. When I was doing the math on Portugal, the price per night was about $150, and I thought that was very reasonable for a nice hotel in a great location. Keep in mind, once you get into the bigger cities, the rooms get very small, but that's all the experience of being in a city, and especially in Europe. Their size compared to what we're used to in North America is quite different. Currency. In Portugal, I tried something new, the Wise Visa card. It's a preloaded Visa debit. I talk about this in my other video, but I love it. It is my future only travel card. Preload it. It exchanges in 40 different currencies. And so what I did to plan currency on a lot of my trips, I've done this using my own credit card, but now in future with Wise, is I'll set out a budget, maybe $100 a day or whatever the daily budget is. And I take half cash in the currency of the local country and put half on my Wise card to use for credit, excursions, bigger restaurant bills, etc. Using the currency for tipping, and tip in the local currency. I would really encourage that. And for the more family, small shops, cash, those types of things, if you're at a market, kiosks, and then using the Wise card for the bigger purchases or excursions and things like that. Day trips. It is great to go on a guided day trip tour. I mean, there's so much to see from every destination. And if you go online, you can see so many options of half-day or full-day guided tours. And there are a number of organizations out there that do that. TripAdvisor, Klook, Get Your Guide, Viator, and even a lot of independents. So if you get to a destination and want to find some day trips, there's lots of information, either the concierge at the hotel, online. There's also independents who will do walking tours of the city. I love a hop on, hop off, because it gives me the option to get on and off as things interest me or not. And usually it's a one-time purchase day pass that is full for the day or for a certain set amount of time, where you're just flexible to do your own thing within that time frame. a new discovery I have as well, first time used in London and more recently in Bangkok, is a water tour, hop on, hop off. So you can get on the river, you hop on boats. If you see a stop you want to get off and explore, you get off, you explore the area, you hop back on the boat and go down the river and see more. And you can see so much this way. It is actually really wonderful. I would highly recommend that. And my final thoughts, the time is now. I'm certainly in my go-go phase, and then there's go slow and no go. And I would encourage you, just book the trip. My new motto is to see one new place every year. And that doesn't need to be a big, expensive, abroad 3-week vacation. There's so much to see even in my backyard that I'm excited to actually take the time and go explore more. But I'm hoping to stick to my motto of go and see one new place every year. It still won't be enough time to see what I want to see. And when you're in an area, a new city, a new country, just really slow down and soak up the vibe. Sit on the boardwalk, listen to the buskers, watch the students walk around. People watch. Just sit there and enjoy a coffee or a beer and just people watch. Take it in and absorb it and wander. Get off the tourist track. Go up a few streets, down some back alleys. I mean, as long as it's safe. But really get off the beaten track. Prices get less, authenticity gets more, you see more, like less touristy and more authentic. You'll find the little hole in the wall, family restaurants, boutique shops. It is actually a wonderful way to explore and really get a local taste of the area that you're in. Speakeasy is another fun thing to do. You can go online and Google where there's some speakeasies, but anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you learned some tips, not taps. I must have beer on my mind. But, and I'll just share with you my picture that's up on my wall right now. This was gifted to me from a friend and travel buddy. But this says, I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list. With that, have an excellent day. And hey, I hope you're inspired to go book a trip. Bye.